the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What a pity. Tomorrow never certain. What draws behind the curtain? The face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make me get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make me get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Getting Ish Done, coming live and direct, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Ladies and gentlemen, click that like button, click the subscribe notification bell. Today we're going to be talking about, and this is a show where we talk about productivity, things having to do with getting stuff done, business principles, skills, getting over yourself, putting one foot in front of the other. Okay. And today we're talking about 10 business principles. And I think that the meta principle, before we get into it, is the importance of having principles, because it's important to communicate things with people, because sometimes you may just be out there doing things, right? Dr. Thunder, you're like, I'm practicing the trumpet because I love it. The sax. Okay. I don't mean to insult you. Because I love to do it, and I'm doing this other thing because I like it, this, that, and then somebody may ask you like, well, what are your principles, your business principles? And you're like, what is the mission statement of this company? And you're like, I don't know, I just never thought about it. Now, it's important to know it for at least this reason, before we get into the principles and whatnot, for the purposes of communication. For example, you say, Dr. Thunder, professor, musician, social commentator, I believe, right? So
yeah, musician, professor, social commentator. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that comes first. Gotcha. Musician, professor, yeah, social commentator. An elevator pitch that describes what your company is, who or whom you are. Same thing with these mission statements and things of this nature is important, because you can't get things done alone in the world. And people expect you, or it is very convenient to have it, 2 sentences that describe what you're about. Whether you're selling something to somebody, or you're selling yourself, or you're introducing yourself, or you're introducing your company. Same thing with the principles that you operate by, right? So that's the important thing to note here in the beginning, because I'm sure, Dr. Thunder, you don't go around thinking, well, what are my core, principles and values in the workplace? Let me list them down. Let me have it over here. What is the, or do you do that?
No. It seems like the stuff that I do seems to just could have be pretty natural.
Do you see the need, based on for example, your whole musician professor thing? Do you see the need to be able to list to somebody something, give them a line about if the question were to come up, or do you think the question is kind of like, well, why would you be asking me about my core business principles? Or what is my mission statement? What is the mission statement of Dr. Thunder Enterprises? What do you think about that question? And do you think it's important to have a ready line or something for people?
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to be able to articulate your sort of vision and mission succinctly. You don't have to go on and on about it. That's why I like the musician, professor, social commentator. Then I can be done. If somebody wants to talk further on it, then we can talk. But that kind of keeps it pretty simple. I do think that there is a value of being able to articulate your mission. Mm-hmm. And often is the case that your mission, if you're have it memorized, if you're acquainted with it, can actually help you to make certain tiebreakers. You know, well, I'm going to take this project on, or I'm going to take this other project. You know, well, wait a minute, my mission statement says this, but it seems to be that perhaps this other thing here is the thing that I should be focusing on. And so that there's a value there. A vision statement tends to be something quite a bit more lengthy, and can actually have sort of steps in where you see yourself in a certain amount of time, and then possibly what the next step would be. So a vision statement tends to be more extensive and spells out more details about not quite day-to-day stuff, but but almost day-to-day.
Mission statement, vision statement, the importance of being able to clearly articulate it helps you, as well as also helping others. It would help people rally to your cause, for example, like if you're gonna grow past a certain number when it comes to influence at all, you're gonna need some kind of a platform that is clearly articulable, that you can say to people so that they can move forward.
I think sometimes people are afraid of being precise about what it is that they want. Often is the case that you can be afraid of that or concerned about doing that because perhaps it eliminates you from consideration in some ways, So.
You know what I also found about this thing that you're just mentioning right here, Dr. Thunder, in terms of the not wanting to go down to, well, what exactly do I want here, or get down to the crux of things, is that there are a lot of people that I find don't have faith in the process of distilling things down. I found that a lot, like where it's like, I'm like, okay, it's in this, there's a needle in this haystack. We know that the needle is in there, okay, right? And everyone agrees, yes, okay, cool. Then there's this general process. Perhaps maybe we soak the haystack in water first, right? And then we do this, this kind of process stuff. Some people don't trust that it'll get us to the needle, or you find that they start wanting to, they lose faith or whatever it is. And this is things as simple as, let's say you're going to a client or you have something to ask of a particular organization, some kind of everything is a sale, right? Whatever step of the game it is, whether you're asking someone to sign a check or whether you're asking somebody to, you're inviting somebody over to your wedding or whatever it may be, or whatever it is, asking someone on a date, who knows? The idea that you can really boil it down to a very succinct and simple statement that is honest, pure, and true, and then find a way to communicate that, a lot of people tend not to have faith in it. They run away from it before we get to the needle. They're like, but how about this? It's like, wait, well, let's go through the process. I found that people don't, I don't know, they don't trust it for some reason. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know if faith is maybe faith is not the right word. Maybe lazy is more like the word. I think sometimes people are just lazy. They're too lazy to do all of that extra, picking up every stone and refining and all of that. I think sometimes there's labor involved in doing that. And if it doesn't seem to be a direct payout, so in their mind, maybe they don't see how it's going to be of any more value because they themselves understand what it is that they're saying, right? Maybe you don't, because it's like all over the place and it's a bunch of scattered, redundant stuff, trying to hit a home run with every sentence, that kind of stuff, when you can just be a lot simpler in declutter things. And then now it's like, oh, now I actually understand what it is that you're trying to do.
Exactly. So in terms of, you put it rather well, trying to hit a home run with every sentence. And I like that you bring up the laziness aspect. And then on the laziness aspect, then I would add one particular kind of thing, which maybe it's an advantage on my part here. There's certain unfair advantages that people have. This aspect of, so let's say we went back to the haystack, okay? there's some people whose general tendency and methodology when it comes to unwinding that thing is to go through systematically picking every grain of hey, okay. And to the degree to which your mind kind of works that way, I can see why you can be just be like, hey, you know what, it's not worth it. Okay. Now, and this is a real thing, right? And I think a lot of people kind of, for example, Edison versus Nikola Tesla is a good example. If you're more of an intuitive person, which would be on the Tesla side, you kind of have like, hey, I don't necessarily have to pick. For example, I started talking about maybe, how about if we do, there's some processes of elimination that we can kind of use here. Some kind of, I don't know, some gas, fluid, something that sticks to something, a magnet, something that we can kind of start in order to not make it a let's pick each freaking grain thing. And so, and what I'm saying here is, to the degree to which most people see tasks as, I got to pick every grain, I can kind of understand why they run away from it, you know? But then maybe I'm being too generous, right, Dr. Thunder? You're just like, oh, nah, they're lazy.
Well, okay, so it's lazy plus perhaps they don't truly understand the value. Okay, so okay, I maybe perhaps I'll give them that. Mostly lazy though.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting right into it. We're going to be reviewing this video talking about 10 winning principles. And we just talked about the meta principle underlying all of this, which is basically you need to be able to articulate whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, whether it's Dr. Thunder, oh, your YouTube, who are you, Dr. Thunder? And he says, musician, professor, social commentator. Boom, right? It works. People get it. And then if you want to expound upon each, how do they relate? All that kind of stuff. It really, it's a nice little crucible that is in which everything has been boiled down and you have the main nuggets there, right? So same thing for what you call an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch could be your story, the story of your company, whatever it may be. And the same thing too goes for principles. If you're going to rally people around some kind of a thing, okay, and it's supposed to grow and have influence and such, you need to be able to boil it down to, we're about connecting people, whatever it may be, right? So let's shout out to Patrick Bet David. Go ahead, click the like button, share the stream. Go ahead also and drop in the super chat with your comments and your questions. Participate, word them up.
Let's just say you come up and you say, Pat, I want you to go into business with me, meaning I go into business with you. And I say, okay, why don't you tell me about your business and what you do? We sit down, we talk. Phase 1, first meeting, I love it. We go into phase 2. You show me a little bit more, I love it even more. Phase 3, we're sitting and I say, you know what? Before we go into business together, I have a question for you. You say, what's the question? What are some of your business principles? You say, what do you mean? Well, if we were to work together, there's going to be friction, issues, challenges. What are some of your business principles that you built your business on? And you say, I don't know. Today, I want to share with you some of my business principles, and I'll give you feedback why it's very important for you to have your own business principles as well. Now, the business principles I'm going to share with you is out of my new book that's coming out August 18th called Your Next 5 Moves. And for the next 6 weeks, I'm going to give you excerpts out of the book the next 6 weeks. And each time I'll share it with you and give you some insight on what I'm thinking about with that section of the book. So let's get right into it. My business principles, here are some of them. Number 1, no one has 100% job security, including the founder or the CEO. Let me say that one more time. No one has 100% job security, including the founder or the CEO. Now, you may say, Pat, if you're the CEO or the founder, don't you have 100% job security? No. If you stop showing up to work, and if you don't come to grow the company, you staying home all day, golfing all day, I'm sorry, you don't have job security. I'm probably going to go to another place and run with somebody else, and your clients are probably going to leave you. So business principle number 1, nobody has 100% job security, including the CEO and the founder. Number 2.
So that one is it's an interesting one also with regards to, let's say, the tech industry. If you pick Elon Musk versus a lot of other tech founder types, there's a difference with regards to vulnerability, job security. What I mean by that is there are ways of structuring the company, the board and the shareholding power, right? The whole power structure of the company, the court, if you will, the king's court, such that you can't be voted out, or you got, people, they always talk about, oh, I have majority control, blah, blah, blah. So take Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk. Let's make those 2 examples. Zuckerberg has those kinds of things. You can't kick him out of Meta, right? He is Meta, that kind of a thing. Elon has a different thing altogether, and I think it's quite brilliant. Okay, basically, you can vote him out. His whole thing is, if I'm not doing the best job, vote me out. Common stock is what they kind of call it. In other words, I don't have any special kind of, oh, this is special stock only released at the blah, 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 those types of things in terms of the corporate governance structure, right? The reason I think it's brilliant is because, A, people, right, it rallies. The obvious first one is, people will rally behind the general that goes into battle with them, right? That says, hey, I'm going to do my best job. I'm going in there with you. I don't have any protection. Who's coming with me? That's number one. But number two, it also keeps that general on his toes, right? He's got to deliver. He's got to make something happen. He's got to pull some magic and all that kind of stuff. And if you have enough charisma, such as Elon, I don't think this is a good play for everybody, by the way. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg could pull it off. But if you have enough charisma, you can kind of pull off this type of, hey, I'm just like one of you guys, no special stuff and whatnot. But just a comment on that one. What do you think about this first principle here about, no one has job security?
Yeah, I like the idea that everyone in the company is held accountable. Everyone has to produce. They have to demonstrate. They have to demonstrate improvement, pursuance of excellence, all of those sorts of things consistently. That the idea that you're only as good as your last victory, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good thing. I think there is a practical aspect of that, which may just be talk. Obviously the owner is still the owner.
Yeah.
And perhaps certain positions are not going to be so quickly on the chopping block.
True.
However, yeah.
Another person came to mind, Steve Jobs, right? So in those kind of founder and then become a CEO, now you have a board, the company has exploded, it's even a public company type stuff. The owner the supposed owner, well, there is no, the owner is different at that point, right? But can get kicked out. Like Steve Jobs got kicked out because Apple was under that particular kind of thing. But then it came back and as a matter of fact, going to the whole being able to get kicked out is a good way of learning lessons and keeping you sharp and vigilant. Steve learned a lot from when he got kicked out the first time, and he didn't make certain mistakes again, right? People say, oh, Apple made a mistake, which is true in terms of kicking him out, but he also learned by getting his ass kicked out, right? And they brought him back, and then he performed, and boom, turned it all around. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you there.
No. I didn't have anything. I don't think I had anything else to add.
Yes. Okay. And then what Elon is doing also right now at Twitter, going out there where, we know about the layoffs, generally speaking, right? In the tech industry. But what Elon is doing at Twitter right now, where it is the case that it seems that they can operate with about 50% of what they have right now, right?
Yeah.
And what this is kind of it's slightly going to be political here for a second, in the sense that there is a particular class, the managerial class, and in certain sectors of the economy, especially in the tech industry, they have a woke ideology, let's say. Okay, so they're managerial in the sense that it's not like they're founder class or they're not board level people. They're managerial. Okay, they're out there in Google, they're the head engineer in charge of X and Y project that Google is dabbling in, and they run 50 people or whatever it may be, and they tend to have been thinking of themselves as essential during the time of 0% interest, right? During the last 10 years of great money, free money, it's been great for these people. And now when things for sure have to things have to be bled out, things have to get washed out, we're going to see a lot of this. Yes, they actually did go broke when they went woke. Some of them, this managerial class I'm talking about. I'm not talking about owner or board class, which also people there playing the woke thing. But a bunch of people at Twitter and a bunch of other people that just thought, hey, I'm here to stay. I'm the ish. I'm the ruler. I'm blah blah blah. I'll just keep on doing this woke thing over here at all these social media companies and whatnot. And I think they're coming to, people are realizing that they don't really have any value, right? But anyways, just wanted to come for them for just because, right? Why not? Let us continue. Number 2, what brought us here won't take us to the next level.
Brought us here won't take us to the next level. I just brought on a new executive. We're sitting down as we're going through the process of hiring him, and we're doing all the paperwork. I said, listen, what's the biggest thing you've ever done in your life? And he tells me, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that. I said, okay. I said, where do you see we can go with value Tim and what we can do here? He says, I think we can do this. And I think we can do that. And I think we can build this big of a business. I said, I love it. You fired me up. Now, here's a question. If you've never built something like that, what do you think is going to take to go somewhere like this that you just painted a vision? He says, I don't know. I said, that's the point. What took you here ain't going to take you there. To go there, you need to change. I need to change. So the mindset of we always have to improve. That's the second principle. Third one, I micromanage until I trust you. What does that mean? Well, John, if we work together, this is...
One of my 3 sounds annoying already, but go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, two is interesting. I sort of said that when I was talking about the first point, this commitment to continuous improvement. I like the idea that everyone is in the same boat with that. And I think this is a really, really good point. What got you where you are is not going to get you to the next level. And so all folks have to change and be, working even harder. And that principle of it always takes longer than you think, and it always costs more than you think it's going to. And in order to do things right, that's always going to be the thing. That's always going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that is it is a rather deep principle in the sense that it is broad and wide in terms of its application. And if I were to kind of just maybe put some context to it, say something about it. It comes in, okay, let's say psychologically, right? You have to change your mindset. And when some people hear mindset, someone like me, I don't like the words mindset. I don't care for the word mentality too much. These broad terms that are supposed to mean some kind of it's like, oh, you should put in this disc in your head. And if you take out that other disc, it's like, need something more granular and actionable. Can't just be, just change your mindset. What's that? Gotta adopt the hustle mindset, 2.0. Well, where do I download that? That kind of crap. Anyways.
Right.
So when one says mindset, so in order to get to a certain level of business, for example, if you have a mindset that, let's say, you want to be anonymous, completely anonymous, either whether it comes to even selling to clients or in people knowing that you're in the business, or putting your name on the dotted line as someone who is putting their head on the chopping block as the entrepreneur or whatever, taking responsibility, risk, you're never going to get you're never going to get past that. So you're going to need to sacrifice whatever it is that wants to hold on to some kind of ideal of either anonymity or lack of risk or not putting your neck on the chopping block. You're going to cross many, many thresholds of this nature as well. With the IRS and with, corporate registration agencies of all kinds, different levels of it. You're just like, I never wanted to get to this point. Like, if you're not ready to get called into Congress, right, for a congressional hearing, then you're not ready to be a billionaire, right? It's like, you're not that kind. These types of things, even just on the basic psychological level, you can block yourself by saying, but I don't want that kind of stress. And then you turn around and, that's how whatever psychological preferences you had in the past will not take you to the future. Yeah, so that was a good one.
I said, where do you see we can go with value attainment and what we can do here? He says, I think we can do this. And I think we can do that. And I think we can build this big of a business. I said, I love it. You fired me up. Now, here's a question. If you've never built something like that, what do you think is going to take to go somewhere like this that you just painted a vision? He says, I don't know. I said, that's the point. What took you here ain't going to take you there. To go there, you need to.
Yep. You need to get better internet.
Change. I need to change. So the mindset of we always have to improve. That's the second principle. Third one, I micromanage until I trust you. What does that mean? Well, John, if we work together, let's just say I'm sharing my principles with you. I'm going to micromanage you until I trust you. What does that mean? Well, I don't know how you work. I mean, we went through the interview, we sat down, we had dinner, we broke bread. I met your wife, you met my wife. Everything's looking good. But I don't know how disciplined you are. I don't know what time you come in the morning. I don't know what time you leave. I don't know how long of a lunch you take. I don't know if you deliver. I don't know if you're just a talker. I don't know if you don't keep I don't know. But I'm going to tell you one thing here. I'm going to micromanage and watch you like a hawk until I trust you. Once I do, then there's distance and there's freedom. But until there, I'm going to micromanage. Are you comfortable with that? I don't know if I like that, but I totally understand at the beginning. Great. Number 4, never compromise.
Yeah, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, that seems like a justification for a maybe a tendency, just a natural tendency that he has.
So you have a tendency to micromanage, and then you're just justifying it by saying, "Hey, I micromanage you, I trust you." So there may be a justification too for a poor choice, in the sense there's no need to micromanage till you trust. You can simply just pick well and then watch for the performance, right? And
Right.
if the performance didn't match with the standards that you thought, then because micromanaging might not lead to the outcome you want, it might lead an already good person, right, to be like, F this, I'm out of here.
out. Right?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
like, yeah, I told you I deliver. My track record shows that I deliver. And just, if I F up, get rid of me quick. But don't micromanage me till then.
Right.
So you're not a micromanager, Dr. Thunder?
No, and I don't require micromanagement, nor do I want it. Anytime that someone has tried to micromanage me, it just doesn't go well. There's no need to do it. I mean, I produce results. So why are you doing that? Matter of fact, and this is not to toot my own horn or to be funny, I probably do your job better than you do your job. So what are you micromanaging me for?
Very well put there, sir. Very well put. Something that's going on right now with the labor force brings this particular issue to the fore. And this is the work from home. It's the one that we've kind of experienced the past couple of years. And this obviously dovetails with the micromanaging thing, right? Because if you're going to allow people to work from home, you have less of this capacity to, quote unquote, micromanage them or be a hawk over their shoulder. And another thing that's been going on is people have been some people, shout out to them, have been working 2 jobs. Okay. And it's like, I find these are you need to find these people and encourage them and, and all that kind of stuff. But some companies have found out, some companies found out, like, oh, you're working for this and that, fired them. And there's a particular CEO that wrote some particular communique about how this thing, which is working for 2 companies, is so evil, right? And it's something that we've touched on before in terms of this idea that somehow they own your soul, or they own, quote unquote, your time, or they said something about a shift. And it's like, dude, if the world is advancing, if you're still hiring people that you need to put in and think of shifts, like, then you're not doing something right? Like, I don't care what else my employees are doing. Okay. I send tasks. I send tasks on Sunday mornings, Saturday nights. We have meetings sporadically. We don't care in that regard. But I don't care what else he's doing, as long as, hey, you're gonna have this. You can have this ready by Wednesday. Sure. I don't care what else. I don't care if he has 7 jobs and he's doing this. If he's able to juggle all this stuff and still deliver it for 7 different people, I wanna pick his brain. Okay, how are you pulling this off?
Yeah, this is interesting. I remember, this is at an old. This is what 3 church jobs ago. This is a long time ago, ancient history. And I had a conversation with one of these sort of administrative administrative assistants, and they would all kind of wear 2 hats. So she was administrative assistant, plus she was a worship leader. And she said to me, this is all that I do. This is all I do. So, this is like a, so it's like, it's good that this is all I do, because I can be so focused on what is happening here. And I said to her, well, that's a way of thinking about it, but it also, makes your sort of perspective on things more narrow, right? So you don't really know, a person like that doesn't really know what's happening anywhere else. And a person like that is not going to be able to expand their network or expose people in this circle to people from this other circle. And so if you're capable of doing several jobs, as it were, as long as you're able to execute and deliver on time, then it's far better for everybody involved.
Far better.
Because you know more people, you're connecting more folks potentially.
Learning more skills.
Right.
If you're, every time I have a meeting with you, going back to the employee thing again, you deliver, but also you're because of everything you're doing, you're working 100 hours a week, and I'm getting all this free training, or in other words, you're honing your machine there, and that's part of the improvement that I see in your work. But more power to you, right? So the CEO that wrote that letter, it's almost like there's certain people that are living in the past, and by the past, I understand how fast things have changed. It may seem, Dr. Thunder, right? It seems like these things have happened really fast, in the sense that what we're saying now was more like a minority view. The idea of my time, work, kill what you eat, work, kind of project-based type delivery in terms of performance and work and stuff like that. The office and the office culture and the 9 to 5, we call the 9 to 5, right? And the rush hour and all that was very much not so long ago. The lore, the whole that's how it was. And there's some people, shout out to some boomers out there, who are still kind of stuck in that stuff. It happened in the pandemic. A friend of mine too had this issue where it was like, look, I have this great opportunity as an engineer to go do some stuff at a nuclear power plant. Sir, he's talking to his old employee now, right? While he's about to walk out the gate, but it's like, look, I can still do this job. Okay, well, let's set a price right now. The X, Y, and Z, these deliverables. You used to work for a rigging company, like people set up these big cranes and do stuff like that and move heavy, awkward, weird things, whether it be those crazy vehicles with 100 tires moving pieces of rockets or whatever it is, that kind of rigging. It's like, okay, I can still execute on those drawings, these designs. I have the engineering license and the stamp. By email, how much per job, right? Let's negotiate that stuff. And this employer couldn't quite get there, right, with it. Friend left, went to the nuclear plant thing, and now does this stuff for the employees' competitors. You know what I mean? Like, he works remotely for other people doing rigging work for, because the guy was like, oh, but I still want people to come into the company, into the office and stuff like that. It's like, they have this idea of, oh, this, my father started this company 40 years ago, and I want people to come back into the office. And it's like, well, God, anyways, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so another office, little illustration from The Office. So Jan, who is Michael's boss, Michael is he's the general manager of the Scranton, Dunder Mifflin branch. And so Jan comes in, and they're supposed to have a meeting with a client on site at the client's, it was actually at a restaurant. So she stops by, and he's on his way out, and it's like 3 p.m. And he says, okay, everybody, you can go home. And then she turns and she says to him, you let them go home even when you're not in the office? And he says, no, just kidding. I mean, stay or whatever. And she says, no, he got himself in a bigger hole than that. He says, no, they don't have to work when I'm not here because they don't get anything done unless I'm, basically micromanaging them. And then he says, no, that's not true. They get the same amount done. Because she's looking at him like he's crazy. And then he says, no, matter of fact, stay here. So see, it creates all kinds of challenges that don't need to be there. This challenge, needing somebody to look over your shoulder stuff, it's not beneficial, and they wasted all kind of time doing all kind of stuff anyway. One of the things that he said to her question about, they don't get as much done, he says, well, he'll just have them work harder. He said, well, why will they work harder? Well, they'll have to work harder to make up for the 2 hours that they that they took off. So it's just goofy.
Mm-hmm.
The office thing, the sort of old way to do it, is not. It's not necessary. And I'm a person that has been a task-oriented sort of worker for a long time. And I've had some jobs where they were hourly and I had to clock a certain number of hours. But in academia and as a musician, other than being there at the downbeat and being able to manage your schedule, the only thing that matters is the objective.
Indeed.
Nobody's going to pat me on the back and make me feel better. Oh, you did such a good job because you spent more hours doing this. They don't give a crap how many hours it took. They just care if it's any good.
I don't know if I like that, but I totally understand at the beginning. Great. Number 4, never compromise your non-negotiables. So whatever I'm sharing with you, I don't compromise these non-negotiables. I have in the past before. Every single time it cost me money. So guess what? I don't compromise my non-negotiables. Next one, create positive, pure pressure by challenging one another. What does this mean? Here's what it means. When we work together, I'm not going to be able to solve all your problems for you. There's going to be times that culturally, I can't teach you everything. But the team, the culture that we have, there's going to be some kind of pressure you're going to feel, not from me, from the culture. We have created a certain culture that provides peer pressure for you to step up your game. It's the kind of an environment we have. Okay, I get it. Fine. Next one, number 6. Our entire focus is to always beat our prior best. If the most money we ever made in a month is 100,000, I want to make 200,000. If the most we've ever made is $1 million, I want to make 2 million. If it's 10 million, I want to make 20 million. Anything we've ever done, the whole idea is to beat our prior best. You with your department.
Okay. Because I'm kind of sifting through here and kind of looking for one where it's like, oh, how can I steal this one? As like, if I were to write like, okay, what are my principles? Obviously, there wouldn't be 10, right? And I'm sure this guy has like 50, and he's just sharing 10 of his. So just 10 of my principles.
Right.
I'll have something like 3. But this idea here of constantly chasing the next thing is a fascinating thing for me, right? It is something that I naturally do. And there are many layers to it. One aspect of it is you never rest on your laurels, and you never know what the future is going to bring. You never know what you're going to need to be ready for, right? So with that whole principle of what got you here is not going to take you to the next level. The question is, well, why do I need to get to the next level? Okay, that might be a question, right? Somebody may say, well, why do I need to get to the next level? Because this idea of, okay, I made X, now I want to make X plus 2 next time, and then next time X plus 4. Like, well, why are we trying to get to X plus 2 and X plus 4? Why are we trying to get to the next level? A big part of it is because survival requires it, in the sense that you don't know how much exactly you need in terms of diversification, for example. Let's say, for example, I just cracked this particular business. It's bringing in $250K a month, and that's just supplemental income over there. It's like, okay, cool. Find a way to not only increase it, but to start diversifying, see the diversifying aspects in that industry. Well, why? I'm fine with the 250K over here, plus the other 300K over here. As a matter of fact, I'm balling. I'm good. I'm making 550 a year. It's like, you don't know which one of these is going to get interrupted, shut down, whatever, outlawed by some unforeseen event, government action, market, competitor, whatever it may be, right? So the idea of leveling up is not just so you can just keep on stacking something, is you never quite know what you're gonna need when you're gonna need it. Okay, forget the fact also that a lot of people are fine with that. Oh, I'm fine, I got my own 2 square feet, or maybe you're doing even better and you have a picket fence worth covered, right? But I don't know, can you help your cousin out if they had a little accident and they can't come up with the medical bills and they need like 20 grand, right? In those times, and in other words, I'm not saying you have to, I'm saying instances like that where you may actually wish to help, right? Wouldn't it be nice if you actually had the 20 grand, right? So anyway, I don't know, what are your thoughts about this kind of climb, being constantly going for the next?
Well, to your point, see, the thing about ignorance is you don't know what you don't know, right? So, and it's the same issue with trying to predict the future. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what the factors are all going to be. And so having more resources is always going to be better than having less resources. So that can be its own motivation. And yeah, I mean, if you're, I'm of the thought process that if you're sort of hovering or treading water, you're actually losing ground because you're using energy to stay in the same place. So that seems to be a loss, right? When others are likely using energy to actually move in a particular direction. So, until you get to the point where you can't actually make any more improvements, you should be making improvements.
Indeed, sir. So, and you mentioned earlier about this culture of performance-oriented culture, which is I've actually been part of a company that was able to whom took this culture thing particularly seriously. It's a German company, right? They took the culture thing seriously, and when it comes to their mission and their values and all that kind of stuff, and they hire people who work for this company work remotely, and they hire people to get the stuff done. It's project based or task based, right? That kind of stuff. And this culture of performance is very strong with them, and they find a way to balance it with keeping people happy at the same time. And part of how you do that, by the way, it's not a huge trick, is you kind of find people right from the beginning. The selecting is a huge part of the trick that this company has. Okay, you find people whom you can put pressure on, or the right type of pressure, and that actually makes them happy. Okay, and they actually collect a lot of information, through the managers and also the just surveys that they do, and they take seriously, right, of the employees, where exactly they need to put the pressure on them, okay, to get them to feel like, so they'll ask questions such as, do you feel sufficiently challenged? Do you feel like you have enough autonomy to try this and fail? So it's a constant process of, I haven't selected correctly, constantly honing and weeding out anybody who doesn't fit this mold of, I can put pressure on this person, and that's actually what makes them happy. I just got to find the right place for them, the right kind of pressure in the right particular kind of direction or aspect that is going to get them to do stuff, right? So I've seen that kind of because it can become toxic, to use a silly word, right? This whole kind of performance and competition type stuff can become toxic very quickly if you don't have the right type of people, okay? And to be honest, it's best when it's on an individual place where you find these self-starters whom you're putting pressure on to perform, and they rise to the challenge, right? That's the sweet spot right there. The person is happy, you're getting the best out of them if you're the employer or whatever. I don't know, if you ever been part of an organization that you thought was able to balance correctly this idea of driving people, bringing out the best out of them, but without creating chaos, unhappiness, and all that kind of stuff.
I've never needed that, so it's always just been irritating, any attempt at that. It's almost okay, and maybe perhaps this is a flaw. When there's too much effort to try to help people improve in stuff that they should be doing anyway, I almost take it as an insult. You think I need this? What are you saying? What are you trying to say? And like I said, perhaps that's a flaw, but it's more irritating than anything. And so I almost all of that kind of stuff, the team building stuff, the developing the culture, the creating a community, all of that kind of stuff, I tend to be sort of turned off by. And I realize that community is important, but in my mind, it's not for those reasons. It's not because it's not so that I will do right. It's not so that I have a bunch of people that can hold me accountable. So it's more like
outside of the. Okay, go ahead, finish that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's not that. It's more like, it's nice to have people around.
It's a nice to have. You can do without it. But outside of the community aspect, because I think I kind of ended up with my particular specimen of saying, hey, you know what? Number one, it works best when you select the right people, and then number two, it's kind of like an individual-based motivation. Where,
Yeah.
So the question is, an organization that can bring out the best out of someone, right? So a general that can inspire the hell out of the soldiers, that kind of a thing, right?
Okay, so I think it's, in my mind, it's more about opportunities. It's more about matching the people with the opportunities, and then that is like the real motivation. You know, like I have a set of skills that will just sit here and do nothing unless I have the right opportunity to utilize those skills. Right. So if you can put the right people together with the objectives, the right objectives for that person, that's all you need. You don't really need anything else. You don't need like team building training and retreats, and you don't need like, hey, let's get the ball out, and so I'm gonna throw the ball. Whoever catches the ball has to say something personal about their family. All of that kind of crap. It's like, dude, what does that have to do?
I
with
recall
my job?
being in such an event, and so I've been in the music thing, doing messing around with music for a while. Back in the day, one of the song I made ended up being used as a kind of background music for Girls Gone Wild. I don't know if Girls Gone Wild is old, way back in the
day. I thought I recognized.
So I was in one such corporate event, right? And I was like, you know what? Let me tell them something interesting. Yeah, I was like, boom. You know what? I was like, I basically told them that music, bada boom, bada bing, Girls Gone Wild. And those who knew, and then people were asking what's Girls Gone Wild, and I'm sure it got crazier and crazier what Girls Gone Wild was. In my defense, it was the early ones anyways, I don't really have any defense in the sense that it was a music thing. And you know how it works. It's not like anyways.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, to your defense, it was more like the earlier ones and less like Bang Bros or something.
The earlier ones were just, it was more like Mardi Gras. You go to plus, hey, it was like, hey, my song ended up over there, and it's like, whatever. It's not like I didn't help them make someone's song has to be. you know the justifications.
Goodness, man.
If it was not my song, some other song is gonna be there. And, what
right.
I'm taking one for the team. Thank you very much. But anyways, so I told
and
him
that was the seed money for your engineering company.
Shh. We're supposed to say that part. It was inconsequential. There's nothing happened. Anyways, let's continue here.
Partner me with my department. We do that. We'll eventually get to that vision that we want to get to. I think that's fair. Great. Next, treat the company's money like it's your own money. What does that mean? Let me explain to you. If the bank account you look at, we have $7 million in there, and you decide to go buy cameras, and we don't need a $50,000 camera, but it's not your own money. So you decided to go get 4 $50,000 cameras. But if it was your own money, you would only gotten $6,000 cameras. You would have done a little bit more negotiation.
Yeah, it's a good principle to have on your end. But so when you are there's certain sales roles, right, that you're in, sales / business development, where it's like, okay, you get a credit card and certain things and maybe a car, blah, blah, blah. And in the times of plenty, okay, this past, before the Fed rates start going up and all these other things that are happening now, the principle of, treat it like the company's money, didn't really, it never quite stuck. In other words, Dr. Thunder, it's hard to treat. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say here. It's easier to say, look, I deserve this. Okay, you're having me travel here out of my family. You know what? Screw it. I'm not gonna go bargain hunting on some freaking hotel. Just swipe it, get in. I'm going to sleep. Whatever, right? That kind of thing. As opposed to I'm gonna treat it like my money. They're like, nah, these guys have billions of dollars, you know, that I'm working for. I'm not gonna treat it like my money. I'm just gonna do what's good for me. But that principle was still there, treated like the company's money. But when things got tightened up, then the company policies, because it's the company policies that actually decide, you know, how free you can be. So when money was loose, the money is loose, but they say treat it like your own, like it's whatever, and then people just spend whatever. And then later they're like, okay, here are the rules. You can only have this, and this. This is the per diem and blah blah blah. And then people's behavior change. So people will respond to incentives of that sort. But this idea of treat it like it's your money, I find it's a tough one for people to do. What do you say about that, Dr. Thunder?
Yeah. For that reason, I think you just have to have rules. And now this is where you end up with like stuff like you have to submit 3 comparables every time you try to buy something, that's where a lot of those kind of a lot of those sort of policies come from, is that they're trying to put actual tangibles. They're trying to put stuff that, okay, here is the process. Submit, 3 comparables, and then you can go book the hotel. Submit 3 of this. So at least in that way, they're at least counted amongst others that are at least charging that, as opposed to you just finding the most expensive one and just swiping the card. So
yeah, interesting. People used to all kinds of games, because basically, especially with rewards and hotel, like let's say hotel loyalty stuff, because you're a salesperson and you're traveling a lot, these rewards still go under your name, right? It's like, I am this particular name and this is my XYZ rewards card, and I stay at the Marriott all the time. Those rewards go to you, right? Yeah. And certain other types of little tricks that people can do. In other words, even going above and beyond, just swiping the card, there are other ways of kind of accruing more benefit to yourself, and then being able to take the whole family out with the miles and the rewards and rental car. Like, you stacked up so much whatever in the rental car, you can freaking rent a Lamborghini or whatever. Like, yeah, those right. It happens, but it's kind of interesting how shit then shuts down when the money dries out. It's all the Fed, man. Out here. When the money dries out, it's kind of interesting how everything shuts down. Like, it's like all the changes get instituted, and then 11,000 people get let go from Meta, and on and on and on. It's pretty funny.
And you would have gone 3 different offers to make sure we get the best deal on the table. I probably would have done that. I want you to treat the.
Didn't I just say that?
Yep. Well, I kind of find those. Look, so here's me. I'm like, okay, I'm upstairs right now, right? Because I'm like, okay, I'm upstairs. I'm in Seattle at a hotel. This is an imaginary situation, okay? And I'm flying there for my business development role. I have some meetings, okay? I'm like, all right, I could go downstairs right now, okay? Because that'll be cheaper. Go across the street and eat. Or I could order a DoorDash, right? And stay up here working. This is a very simple microcosm example, but these choices like this come up all the time. I always default on my time is way more valuable than saving $20.
Yep.
Okay. or 30. I don't care what the tax and the this and the delivery. It's like, I'll be here sitting, working and doing my thing, not having to put on clothes, go down there, do all that, waste all that energy and time and all that kind of stuff to save you, some money on this credit card. So I'm always leaning in this other direction when it comes to the efficiency stuff anyways. So, but I'm not going to be so silly as to be like, oh, well, therefore change the rules for me. It's just fine. Have your rules. I'll generally find ways to skirt around them as long as I can justify,
Yeah,
and as long as I'm performing. When you're performing, anyways, go ahead.
Right. You don't really need a Bentley for a car rental.
No.
It doesn't really have to be a Bentley. So.
I really needed a Bentley, man. I wonder what the justification would be. You see the whatever cooling, vibrating, whatever champagne was necessary. That's how I closed that deal. It was absolutely necessary.
Right. I needed 12 bottles of Cristal and a Bentley, and because this is how this client rolls, and we can't show up half stepping. Oh yeah, and I did need 4 escorts too. Supermodel.
It comes with the territory. I mean,
that's just
as expected.
And a budget and a budget for tricking. All right, keep going.
Little tricking, making it rain budget. Let's see. And I messed it up. I upset the buffering gods. And when you do that these days on YouTube, it can be rather consequential. So I'll go ahead and click on this refresh button here and see where it leads us.
Let's just say you come up and you say, Pat, I want you to go into business with me, meaning I go into business with you. And I say, okay.
Meaning I go into business with you.
I'm
Why
not
don't you
going
tell
to
me about
business.
your business and what you do? We sit down, we talk.
I'm sorry.
This means, here's what it means. When we work together, I'm not going to be able to solve all your problems for you. There's going to be times that culturally, I can't teach you everything. But the team, the culture that we have, there's going to be some kind of pressure you're going to feel, not from me, from the culture. We have created a certain culture that provides peer pressure for you to step up your game. It's the kind of an environment we have. Okay, I get it. Fine. Next one, number 6. Our entire focus is to always beat our prior best. If the most money we ever made in a month is 100,000, I want to make 200,000. If the most we've ever made is $1 million, I want to make 2 million. If it's 10 million, I want to make 20 million. Anything we've ever done, the whole idea is to beat our prior best. You with your department, me with my department. We do that, we'll eventually get to that vision that we want to get to. I think that's fair. Great. Next, treat the company's money like it's your own money. What does that mean? Let me explain to you. If the bank account you look at, we have $7 million in there, and you decide to go buy cameras, and we don't need a $50,000 camera, but it's not your own money. So you decided to go get 4 $50,000 cameras. But if it was your own money, you would have only gotten $6,000 cameras. You would have done a little bit more negotiation, and you would have gotten 3 different offers to make sure we get the best deal on the table. I probably would have done that. I want you to treat the company's money like it's your own money. I think that also makes sense. Fair enough. Let's continue. Next one, be radically open-minded, but not easily persuaded. I don't know if I understand that one. Let me explain. I'm open-minded. Bring up ideas. Tell me what you suggest how to do this, how to suggest how to do that. Great, all ears. But I know what I know, and a lot of things you bring up, I'm not going to be easily persuaded just because something sounds great. I may say this is not a phase 1 idea. This is a phase 3 idea. I may say, I like what you're saying. It's not going to fit with our culture. I may say, I like the title you're picking for this video, but it's not the type of title that we use over here. I may say, I like the person you want to hire, just doesn't fit in our culture. I like the format you want to give this person with a job schedule, doesn't work with our format that we have. So I'm open-minded, bring it up to me, but it doesn't mean I'm easily persuaded with some ideas that you bring at the end. Okay.
Got any comments on that one?
Okay, so, all right, so again with the open-minded stuff, All right. So open-minded, closed-minded. And if somebody describes themselves as being open-minded, the first question that is going to be asked, open to what? If you're closed-minded, closed to what? Right? So it's not very clear what is being communicated. And it's one of these sort of atmospheric terminologies that when you actually shake the bushes, all kinds of other stuff falls out, So I prefer active and passive. Active-minded, passive-minded. Active meaning that no matter what the information is, you're going to process the information. And passive meaning no matter what the information is, you're not going to process the information. You're just going to continue doing what you've been doing before, or behave as though, this new information never came to you. I do like the idea of giving people an opportunity to pitch an idea, and I like to say yes. I see my job as an administrator is finding ways to say yes. And I always offer perspective in a sort of context for the yes. Always say, this is a really good idea. I think we definitely can do this. Let's try it and see how it works. And then I'll make some nuanced suggestions about how they can be more successful. The idea can be more successful. The being hard to convince, like this thing that he's going to be not easy to convince that, okay, I see what you're saying, but that's more or less what I just got done saying about being active. He's actually going to process the information. But I think that the open-minded, closed-minded terminology is very much problematic. I think it's very much problematic. So, anyhow.
Okay, so yeah, he's more describing an active mind in terms of he will engage, he will process, he will offer feedback, he will give reasons for the decisions that he has made. Some other thing that's kind of around this is there's some and this is more amongst investors and people whom have opinions. Okay, so opinions, not talking about facts or theories even. And the opinions often take the form of theories, but to have strong opinions loosely held. Strong opinions loosely held is how they call it. So it basically means that, let's say you want to invest in something, right? It involves making a prediction as to what's going to happen, right? You're saying X is going to happen, right? So you form an opinion about it. You make a case, a thesis. You say X is going to happen because of this, this, and this. I see the rising dollar over here. I think this particular copper company is going to get the rights, and they're going to be the only ones, and they're perfectly suited, and they have the capital ready to take advantage of the uncommon need of copper that's going to happen when X, Y, and Z happens in Russia. Okay, cool. You have a nice model, a nice, good, internally consistent model there. But, okay, you still have to understand that it's probabilistic, and you hold it loosely, right? That's the whole idea of, strong opinions loosely held. It's in a way adjacent to all this kind of open mind, closed minded, active, passive, whatever type stuff. But this is another level. People have difficulty with it. And here's my description of it. If I may for a second here, be abstract about something psychological. I think that most people confuse the strength of the opinion, or there is a conflation between the strength of their opinion and their embrace of the opinion. Like, the only way they can build a strong opinion is to be fully embrace it it gets into your soul some way. It's another way of just saying the ego gets attached somehow, right? It's almost like the cognition and the ego
Right.
is part of the same thing. The thing that glues the opinion together is also part of themselves and their personality. Like they cannot create an abstraction, okay, without themselves just being in there, and they're just completely wedded to it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing you might notice with people from time to time.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally noticed that. I often like to argue a different side, a different position than the one that I hold. And this is good. This is a good practice. This is a good practice because it can teach you how to hold loosely these opinions, right? As you're talking about, it can teach you how to do that. It teaches you also in a more granular and nuanced fashion the relative merits, the pluses and minuses of an argument that you don't agree with. Just being able to pot shot an argument doesn't necessarily mean that you have a particularly strong grasp of what makes that argument work or not work.
Well, yeah,
you just have some talking points that seem to expose a particular weakness of the argument.
Yeah, you don't have a strong grasp of the argument, and that often also means you don't have a strong grasp of your own argument.
Facts.
Yeah, shout out to Glenn Lowry. He's definitely a good exemplar of that particular kind of thing, where he can construct abstraction after abstraction, argument after argument after argument, clearly steelman them, buttress them, show the facts. But doesn't mean that that's where he is landed, right? So,
like right now, I'm going to argue that there is no God. And, like, totally convince everybody there's no God. No, but that's not actually my position. I'm actually a theist.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, those kind of cats. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me sidetracked. Anyways, yeah, let's not get sidetracked in there.
$1,000 cameras. But if it was your own money, you would have only gotten $6,000 cameras. You would have done a little bit more negotiation, and you would have gotten 3 different offers to make sure you get the best deal on the table. I probably would have done that. I want you to treat the company's money like it's your own money. I think that also makes sense. Fair enough. Let's continue. Next one. Be radically open-minded, but not easily persuaded. I don't know if I understand that. Fight any temptation to lower expectation and standards. What does that mean? Let's just say we start growing and we're doing good, and people start saying how amazing.
So this is the kind of thing that it's like, well, to me, this is redundant. And you know how I roll. I'm always looking for redundancy. You already said, dude, that you're always going for, you're always trying to improve. And then now you're telling me that you also have to write in there that I also fight anything that tells me not to improve. Like, bruh, you're about improving. However you get it done, that's not a separate principle, dude. Like, why do we have to hear about this now? About lowering expectations. You already told us that you're about raising expectations. Anyways,
he didn't want to have one that said 9 winning business principles. He wanted 10.
This was the free. This was the throwaway, the filler track.
Yeah.
We are. Oh my gosh, look how great they're doing. Look at how much money they're making. Look at how much. Just fight any temptation to allow success to lower any kind of expectation and standards. So you know what, guys? Don't worry about it. I don't care if a guy comes in 9 minutes late. It's totally cool. I don't care if you come 2 hours late. It's fine. Guy, just leave him alone. Let him do it. He wants to go at 2 o'clock every day. It's fine. Do it. We're not lowering standards and expectation. I'm just telling you. For as long as that's the vision that we painted and we're going there, we're not doing any kind of lowering expectation and standards. Okay, a little bit unreasonable, a little bit crazy, but fine. I can work with that. Great. We want to keep the expectation high. Fine. Last one I'm going to give you here. Create an environment where our team is taken care of both financially and professionally. What does that mean? If my guys work very hard, I want them to financially make money based on what their market value is. I don't want to pay you more than your market value. Your market value is 100 grand. I'm okay getting there. If your market value is 200, you perform like a 250. I don't mind you getting there. But if your market value is 50, I am paying you 150. It's financially, I want you to be taken care of for your market value if you push more. And I want us environment-wise And fun-wise, to be in a place where everybody's growing, everybody's having fun. I like that as well. Great, no problem. So those.
Here, I want to point out a nuance.
Mhm.
So, this nuance is exposed in this 10th point. The 10th point in his explanation of it.
Go ahead.
He said he wants people, based on what their market value is, to be treated fairly, basically, to be paid what they're owed based on their position is, what the other people and other companies are making, based on comparables. That's market value. Okay. That's good. And actually, when companies pay you more, if they pay you more than what your market value is, in a manner of speaking, they're actually doing you a disservice. Now, this is how. And this is now, if you're okay with staying with that company forever and ever, amen, until you die, you die in the office after an office party one night. If that's what it is, fine. No problem. Making more money is good. However, by them paying you more, then what that does is it disincentivizes you from getting the additional credentials, from doing the additional labor to get yourself into a position that has a higher market value.
Or to deserve that money in the case that you get chopped off of this particular company and you think you're going to go back and say, I was getting I was getting 190 over there. I think I'm a 190 guy. And they're like, dude, like you're barely 80 or something like that, let's say. Right. A bad price is a bad signal. It's a glitch in the matrix, right? So whenever someone is giving you telling you, hey, this is your value, when it's not, it's a glitch in the matrix. Bad information is going to lead to bad outcomes, generally speaking. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So if and I've seen this happen. One of the things that sometimes churches will do, and it doesn't have to be a church. It could be like a nonprofit organization. It could be a private corporation. It could be a company that doesn't have to hire people that have certain credentials for certain positions. Okay. So such and such doesn't have a degree. Maybe you have an associate's degree, but they've been the administrative, head or whatever of the church or of this entire nonprofit organization or whatever it is. They've been serving in a capacity that is way above the degrees that they have. And they're being compensated the way that somebody in that position would be compensated. Now, what's happening here is they're locking you into something that you'll never be able to recreate anywhere else.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to do
golden handcuffs, and
that's right.
You're a slave.
Yeah, that's right. You will not be able to go to another company. So if they start treating you like a hot mess, right? They start doing all kinds of stuff. Then now you have a real dilemma because you can't vote with your feet. You got to just stay in there because now you need the money.
I was thinking about this when you mentioned earlier, or we somehow touched upon the idea of autonomy, right? I think you were saying something about not needing, one of those social things that you don't need. And generally speaking, there are people who thrive on autonomy. Most people thrive on autonomy, right? Well, autonomy is valid currency in the social landscape, right? In terms of bargaining with people. It's a great thing. So basically, if you want to retain your autonomy and play the the corporate game, a huge organization game, there's a particular path that I often. So there's a show called Attack on Titan. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an anime, one of the most popular ones out there. But Some people call it attack on white man, but that's not. I don't want to be. But there is a particular. So if you have there's the scout team, okay, which is the team that goes out there. Think of them as special forces, okay. They go out there, they do blah blah blah, and you have Captain Levi, who is the leader of the scout team. And there's a particular level in an organization, that Captain Levi level, where you have maximum autonomy or a lot of autonomy, and you don't get trapped as like the general and the judge are in that show. And you don't have to know anything about the show, but you can already start to see the picture. You're the captain of a special forces team. You're not the general, okay? But Captain Levi has way more autonomy, and because he's freaking good, also a lot of say, right? In terms of what happens, okay? So he actually can influence the generals, but he doesn't have the handcuffs that the generals have, okay? He's Captain Levi. He's got his own squad out there, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. There's always a Captain Levi level at any organization. And what I tend to preach is find the Captain Levi. If to the degree to which you're going to be in a corporate structure, find the Captain Levi level and then do your own separate thing, right? Elsewhere, right? Don't start crossing into that uncanny valley where they start paying you too much money. Then, you could actually go out there and reproduce, right? One should always think like, let's say you're a particular, because I'm into the whole kind of skill thing, or shall we say profession or trades thing, right? So for your particular trade, profession, skill, you're in a particular company. Let's say you're at Twitter or at Google, at Meta, and you're a software engineer, blah, blah, whatever it is. And someone is giving you $350,000 a year, okay? And you're like, you need to ask yourself, can I go get this? Like, do I have the skills? What are the certifications that I need in order to pull this out of the marketplace? Or a comparable job and all those other types of things. You should always be thinking about that, okay? So to the Captain Levi point is a certain stage where you have autonomy, whatever way you can kind of finagle autonomy. Maybe you get tenure, I don't know, right? But autonomy being the North Star here. You want autonomy, okay? And then be very good at what you do. And then you are more of in a position to write your own history, and you can fall or rise based on your own, shall we say, efforts and such. A lot of people get trapped in golden handcuffs. A lot of people just want to climb up the ladder and find out that they're obsolete. We talked earlier about the excess, the surplus elites, whom are a managerial class in a lot of tech companies, whom have nothing to offer but a woke ideology. There's no reason why these people are getting paid the money they're getting paid, and that's why they're getting slashed right now. And there really isn't I don't need another a third woke inspector of inclusion. Anyways, I think that wave is definitely happening in tech, but I don't know how far it's going to spread in terms of, because I didn't mention HR, because it's human resources. I mean, there's the managerial class with their woke stuff, but a lot of the HR and the woke stuff that they have there, if you're going to be cutting stuff, okay, you look at sales, you look at operations, you look at and then you see this bloated HR, diversity and inclusion money suck over there.
That's right. Fire Toby.
So I'm just saying, I don't wish anyone ill to lose their job, but if it happens to you and you're one of those diversity and inclusion type people in the HR department somewhere, it should be a lesson. You've learned the lesson that Dr. Thunder was saying earlier, which basically someone was giving you a wrong signal in the marketplace. Okay, someone was saying, hey, you're very valuable, but it turns out that it's not a marketable skill. You can't actually go out there and trade it. Is the point here. But let's let this him finish his stuff, and then we'll just give our closing thoughts here.
Sure.
Those are my 10 business principles if you choose to go into business with me. So the question comes back to you. What are your 10 business principles if I choose to go into business with you? And if you don't have that down, that's one of the things we talk about in this book, Your Next 5 Moves, which is a project I've been working on with Simon & Schuster, and they're calling this their business book launch of the summer. That's coming out August 18th. If you haven't ordered a book, there's a couple things I want you to know about this book. I almost didn't write this book. I almost didn't write this, but because there's no filters. I'm sharing with you my flaws, my mistakes, things that cost me tens of millions of dollars. It's all in here, and things that made me a few $100 million is also in this book. If you haven't yet ordered a book, go to yournext5moves.com to order the book. And if you want to get a free chapter, if you go to yournext5moves.com, you order a book, send an email to us. We'll send you a free chapter to read. And if you text us at 310-34...
And by the way, it's actually not a bad book. I actually did a review of it a while ago. Check out my playlist. It's not a bad book. It's about strategy, and with the understanding that whenever, back to that principle of what got you here is not going to take you to the next level, typically strategizing becomes more and more important the further along you go in any particular endeavor. You may just be starting out and you may kind of be flowing and doing things intuitive, blah, 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 and not thinking ahead of time and not 2-year plan, 3-year plan, 5, next week, who cares? But the further along you go, the more you're going to have to have your gaze higher up, further out, broaden it, whatever you want to call it. You're going to, that broadening naturally has to happen for you to kind of move forward, if you will. But Dr. Thunder, happy Thanksgiving. What's going on in Michigan and Ohio and all that kind of stuff with regards to Turkey Day? Or you don't celebrate that unholy pagan holiday?
Right. No, I'm definitely going to eat some turkey. It's not going to be on Thanksgiving. Our biggest thing is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. That's when all the families get together. The whole family gets together. So and that'll be up in Michigan. So looking forward to that. My son is all looking forward to that. He gets to see his cousins and everything. And tomorrow night, I'm not going to do any streaming, though I will have a premiere video release.
Are you working tomorrow, Dr. Thunder? Tell the truth. You working?
Probably.
Yeah, man.
Probably.
I'm actually catching up. I enjoyed today, and I think I'm gonna like tomorrow and Friday because when people slow down, it gives you breathing room. Number one, they're not bugging you in terms of phones and emails and stuff, and their expectations too have already you've just added 1 more or 2 more days to whatever deadline of deliverable blah 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 that you're working on. And rather than have the calendar, for me, having that calendar so scrunched with stuff, kind of have this 15 or 30 minute breathing room in between there. But definitely going to be doing a lot of crap tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to kind of catch up so that I can come out on top there.
Tomorrow I'll probably end up doing some scheduling. That's the stuff. There's a number of things that I need to get scheduled. Some rehearsals I need to get scheduled, and some other things, and some emails I need to send. I'm sure I'll end up doing some of that kind of stuff tomorrow. It will be pretty relaxed though. Probably watch some football, and do some of the usual stuff that people do on Thanksgiving. My son will probably want to play video games. Do. Right. Right. No, ham and eggers. Ham and eggers.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna watch more anime stuff. And actually, I was thinking about the and I maybe I have to admit that maybe it is the case that I actually don't like movies because I would not be so critical of them in terms of because my thing is, if the movie is not super vetted and if it's not going to be super worth my time, I don't want to see it. But I guess if I did like movies, then I would be willing to because, for example, there's a movie called Ready Player One that I watched recently. I don't know if you've seen that one. Have you seen Ready Player One?
That's one I do want to see, but I don't think I've seen it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been hearing about it, right? Like I told you how I kind of select movies and stuff like that. And it takes like a year or 2 or 3 for me to finally and then sit down and watch something. Anime I watch because the episode is like 21 minutes and I could just get in, get out. Plus anime, look, there's no writing that comes to if you're a particular type of person, no writing meets the Japanese standard. If you kind of compare, let's say, comic books with anime, it's like child's play. I mean, it's not even comparable. Anyways, The Ready Player One movie, I saw it, and it was a good movie, but I was disappointed, and I know why, right? But I think you'll still find it a good movie. So I have to kind of say that, you know what, there's something about this certain standard things that happen in movies that really piss me off, right? And it happened in that movie. It's not a bad movie, but there's certain standard things, certain kinds of tropes that just kind of happen. And, you know, the first one is the girl. Like, oh, here comes the girl. I don't know. Maybe it's my inner misogynist coming through or whatever, but the girl trope and all these other tropes that just like, do we have to do this? This is a, good concept, but why do we have to have this side story? And what, they're gonna fall in love now? Or, anyways, I'm a weirdo like that, Dr. Thunder. But anyway, so you said no streaming, but you'll be doing some kind of premieres or whatever.
Yeah, I'll do a premiere video probably.
We'll be able to do Getting This Done, or probably not. No. Case closed.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do Case Closed on Sunday.
Okay. Case Closed on Sunday on this channel for sure. 4 p.m.
on your channel. Yep.
Eastern.
So that'll work too. So if I happen to be driving or something, it'll be all right. And then let's see here. Friday, I'll probably do a Car Thunder. I'll probably do a Car Thunder on Friday, and then I mean it's wide open. And then next week is going to be back to the grind, getting it in. One thing that I am going to be doing is I'm going to get on my shorts game. Of course, I had all of those hot licks; those were my shorts, but I have uploaded all of those hot licks now. And so for the last probably month or something, I haven't been uploading any shorts. But what I'm going to start doing is clipping a number of things. So, and uploading those, and also probably doing some exclusive shorts, just on, usual things that I say, stuff that won't take too much production. And that's actually a benefit of the shorts, because it doesn't take any production. It's just like, you just need a name. And some of the shorts, though, they've got quite a bit of production on them. They've got words and stuff on the, stuff like that. I don't know how much of that I'm going to do, but, and then the thing is like, once you get them in a certain frame, what is it, like 5x8 or 3x4, whatever the size of the that it has to be for it to load as a short and not as a regular video on YouTube. Then you can upload that on everything, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. You can put the same video other places. And understanding how those different platforms actually function, the same content you put on different platforms, it'll produce different results, because the communities are totally different, which is kind of an interesting sort of thing. So getting it happening. It seems like I've gotten some momentum going from the live streaming and everything. And I'm thinking for our show on Sunday, we could do something related to this. So I did a video this morning, which performed pretty well and is being mentioned around the space a bit. We could do something somewhat related to that, because Case Closed will be on your channel. So it won't be as sort of redundant, like if we do it on mine, it's like, well, I just got done talking about that. But if we do it on yours, then it's like, okay, I talked about it, but it's on your platform. So
Yeah.
that we can get a little more run out of the same sort of
Gotcha.
material.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to grind my teeth here to. It's kind of interesting. I just finished talking about no, I'm not gonna bring it up. Never mind. I don't want to get in trouble. YouTube's already out here after my channel for recent videos. Check out my recent videos, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, about Kanye and Chappelle and the small
Yeah.
hats.
Oh, snap.
Oh, snap. But yeah, sure, Dr. Thunder. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating. And we are out of here. Peace out.
In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what's a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what dwells behind the curtain, the face of evil smirking with the shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannon could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.